As Carlos Sainz finishes his final year at Ferrari, it's a peculiar time for the driver who ended Max Verstappen's early season domination. Sainz, dumped over the winter and undergoing surgery during the second race weekend of 2024, finds himself still unemployed for the next year. Despite this uncertainty, Sainz has had a stellar start to the season, winning the Australian Grand Prix after having his appendix removed. Remarkably, he remains the only non-Red Bull driver to win a race in the past 18 months. His victory at the Australian Grand Prix has put Sainz back on Red Bull's radar. Although he started his F1 career with Red Bull's junior team, he later moved on due to a lack of prospects at Red Bull Racing. However, recent comments from Red Bull Racing boss Christian Horner suggest a potential interest in bringing Sainz back into the fold. The Australian Grand Prix also shed light on Red Bull's struggles, particularly for potential teammates for Verstappen in 2025. Sergio Perez's strong start to the season ended disappointingly, while Daniel Ricciardo had a tough home event for the second Red Bull team. Yuki Tsunoda's impressive performance raised questions about his future with Red Bull, leading to speculation about Sainz as a potential option. Horner's comments about considering drivers outside the Red Bull pool, coupled with Sainz's recent victory, fuel rumors of a possible return to Red Bull Racing. While tensions between Sainz and Verstappen as rookies at Toro Rosso are noted, Sainz's undeniable talent and adaptability make him a compelling choice for any team with a vacancy. However, uncertainties remain. Sainz's past conflicts with Verstappen's entourage and the potential disruption his return might cause are factors to consider. Yet, his recent triumph in Australia demonstrates his ability to seize opportunities when they arise. As Red Bull deliberates its driver decision, Sainz's impressive performance serves as an unlikely audition for a return to the team. Despite the challenges he faced leading up to the race, Sainz managed to secure victory, showcasing his resilience and skill on the track. Meanwhile, Perez's struggles highlight the importance of having a reliable teammate for Verstappen. While Red Bull's dominance in 2024 seems assured, the team cannot afford to overlook the need for a strong supporting driver like Sainz. In the fast-paced world of Formula One, the unexpected can happen at any moment. Sainz's resurgence proves that talent and determination can defy the odds, making him a contender for a coveted seat at Red Bull Racing once again. In what world does Carlos Sainz Jr., the only driver to have interrupted Red Bull Racing, Max Verstappen's Formula One dominance in the last 500 days, most recently just weeks after abdominal surgery, have to stare down the barrel of unemployment? Apparently this one. As you will have heard by now, Scuderia Ferrari has already committed to giving Sainz Jr. the boot come 2025, thereby making room for seven-time world champion Sir Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton, who is abandoning a lackluster Mercedes-AMG Petronas F1 team, will enjoy multiple seasons on greener, redder pastures, as well as a contract reportedly valued at $446 million, while the pilot he's replacing has once again been left in the lurch. Granted, one can easily see why this decision was made. Transcendental marketability aside, both the British motorsport talent and Sainz Jr.'s current teammate Charles Leclerc have been slightly more consistent over the past 2 seasons. Particularly impressive when you consider the tractor Mercedes has stuck Hamilton with. But it would be foolish to overlook the capabilities of Carlos Sainz Jr. for the coming season. Especially if you're Red Bull Racing. The defending champions, which seemed pretty damn keen on reuniting Max Verstappen with their other prodigal son Daniel Ricciardo until recently, have been weighing up their options to fill that second seat. Ideally with a driver who can more closely follow the Charging Bull's golden boy on the track, and not a driver struggling against his far less experienced teammate at the Visa Cash App RB Junior team, formerly Alpha Tauri. The person who's proven to be the most viable candidate aside from Sergio Perez, and in inferior machinery, no less, has been none other than Verstappen's former Toro Rosso teammate, Carlos Sainz Jr. Bar a handful of woefully unfortunate weekends to forget, since the 2023 Italian Grand Prix wherein the latter finished P3 behind both Red Bull Racing drivers, he's hit a rich vein of form, recording better results than Perez during 5 of the last 12 race weekends, and only a single podium place behind Mexico's Minister of Defense on 2 separate occasions. And I know what you're thinking. That still means Checo has technically beaten Sainz Jr. 7 times to his 5, plus the whole nutshell of mechanical failures. But let's not downplay the gulf between the goddamn rocket ship Adrian Newey has crafted for Red Bull and the rigs every other team is making do with. Take the recent Australian Grand Prix, for example. Despite the fact that Max Verstappen's right brake was engaged the entire time, he was still leading the race for 3 whole laps before his RB20 finally conked out in the pit lane. Thankfully, it would appear that certain key figures on the grid are starting to recognize the value of Carlos Sainz Jr., like Red Bull Racing CEO and team principal Christian Horner. Yuki Tsunoda's a very quick driver, we know that, but I think we want to feel the best pairing that we can in Red Bull Racing, and sometimes you've got to look outside the pool as well, said Horner after the aforementioned Australian Grand Prix. You've had a very fast unemployed driver win today. The market is reasonably fluid with certain drivers. Based on a performance like that, you couldn't rule any possibility out. Red Bull Racing's head honcho added as a caveat, I think you just want to take the time, and obviously Checo Perez was compromised today. He's had a great start in the season too, so we're not in any desperate rush. The ongoing conversation surrounding that second seat has also involved two-time champion and Aston Martin signed grid veteran Fernando Alonso, as well as ex-Red Bull Racing driver Alex Albon, meaning Carlos Sainz Jr. is far from a shoo-in. In our minds, however, the smooth operator is quite deservingly the future. Questions around Sainz being underrated have undoubtedly been fueled by Ferrari's decision to release him, despite the Spaniard himself admitting he could understand their decision to recruit the 7-time world champion. However, there is more to the debate than that, with Sainz rarely mentioned in conversations about the sport's elite drivers. While Ferrari's official line has always been that their drivers are equal without a clear number one, the fact that Leclerc was retained and Sainz released confirmed that, as most outsiders would have suspected, the 26-year-old Monegasque is held in higher regard. While the likes of Leclerc, George Russell and Verstappen were fast-tracked, the latter the most rapidly, into a seat at a top team, Sainz has had to grind his way to the front of the grid. He started his career alongside Verstappen at Red Bull's junior team, then named Toro Rosso, in 2015, before eventually departing for Renault, having grown frustrated at being overlooked for a promotion to the senior squad. However, he completed only one full season with Renault before being replaced by Daniel Ricciardo, and moved on to McLaren. It was there, driving alongside Lando Norris, that Sainz finally established himself, finishing 6th in the World Championship for successive seasons before earning a move to Ferrari. Doubts over Sainz's pedigree as an elite driver in one of the sport's most desirable seats remained as he went winless in his first campaign, but his victory in Australia levelled his and Leclerc's win tallies at 3-3 during their time together as teammates. If there's one place where Sainz isn't underrated, it's on the grid he shares with F1's other drivers. I think everybody knows Carlos' worth in the paddock, Leclerc said on Australian GP. He's one of the highest rated drivers in the paddock, and he's been extremely strong every time he was in a Formula 1 car. And he has showed it multiple times. So I don't think he's underrated for that. Norris, who has been lauded as a future star of the sport despite not yet having claimed his first victory, also holds his former teammate in hugely high regard. There's no reason anyone should think he's underrated, Norris said. I think for the people who know him, know what he's capable of doing, know his effort level, his approach and dedication to wanting to be one of the best, exactly like he's proved today, and over the last couple of weeks. I'm sure you have plenty of drivers who probably wouldn't have tried as hard and dedicated so much of their time and effort to trying to recover and get back in the race car. And I think that's just one example of it. Sky Sports F1's Bernie Collins, who was head of strategy at Aston Martin until 2022, says that Sainz is also respected by teams he has not driven for. I don't think he was necessarily underrated, Collins told the Sky Sports F1 podcast. I think it's harder to show that ability in a car that's not performing as well. So now that the Ferrari is starting to perform better, we're starting to see these really strong performances, really strong qualifying, starting to out-qualify Leclerc, all of these things. So I don't think underrated, I think it's just that he's not shone maybe in the same way that he can now a little bit in the Ferrari as the Ferrari performance starts to come on. The potential signing of Carlos Sainz Jr. by Red Bull Racing presents a tantalizing opportunity that the team would be foolish to overlook. With his proven track record, team-oriented approach, and seamless fit within the Red Bull Racing setup, Sainz could be the missing piece in the team's quest for championship glory. Stay tuned as the drama unfolds, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching and see you on the next video.